Well, what's up, everybody? Hello, how are you? Good to see you. I hope that you are well. I just had to rush over and hop into my seat. I was up organizing stuff, getting everything ready for our discussion today. And so, man, it's so good to see y'all on. I see my aunties on, my auntie Melissa, my auntie Millicent. Good to see y'all. I see my friend and my brother, the Right Reverend Pastor Kwame Crosby. Good to see you, Doc. Good to see you. Good to see you. And anybody else that's watching, why don't you throw a comment up there? Let me know who you are. I see the best bassist in the world. He plays for New Congregational. That's none other than Keith Liggins. Good to see you, Keith. God bless you, man. God bless you. Yes, yes, yes. Boy, do we have a conversation today? Do we have a conversation today? Do we have a conversation today that needs to be had? Oh, by the way, welcome to Black Church Chats. I'm Pastor Isaiah Robertson. Thanks for joining. Like, share, comment, all that stuff. I'm getting coached, y'all. And I'm told that I need to do that before I launch into the conversation. So I did it. Protocol has been established. Let's talk. Let's talk. So, y'all, I don't like to chase controversies. And I don't want this channel to become a controversy chasing channel. Therefore, there will be things that I will not cover. There will be things that I will not talk about, even though it may be pertinent or relating to the Black church. Just because it's controversial doesn't necessarily mean it needs my attention. But y'all, I have felt a certain type of way about Maverick City. What's up, Reverend Charles Nelson? Salute to you. God bless you, watching all the way from Omaha, Nebraska. Thank you for jumping in. Y'all, I have felt a certain type of way about Maverick City for a long time now. A long time now. And let me just say this. If you're a fan of Maverick City, if you sing Maverick City in your church, if you listen to Maverick City, if you have Maverick City in your playlist, more power to you. This is not about to be a boycott Maverick that play Maverick City or that sing Mavericks. I around Maverick City. I even want to get behind some of the success of Maverick City. And I want to have a deeper conversation than just don't listen to Maverick City, boycott Maverick City, stop singing Maverick City. That is not what I'm after. And the reason why I'm not after that, y'all, is because Black people are brilliant. And anything we decide to do, no matter what genre we decide to cross over into, we will bring excellence, innovation, and creativity to it. So I don't want to make it seem like I am anti expansion. I'm not a big fan of Beyonce, but she's singing country music now. More power to any Black artist, any Black group who wants to cross over and experience other genres and sing other genres. As a matter of fact, most of these genres were influenced by Black expression, or they were created by Black people and then later co-opted by non-Black people. And so this is not stop singing Maverick City, stop liking Maverick City, take Maverick City out of your playlist. This is a conversation about motives. This is a conversation about what might be behind the success of Maverick City. This is a conversation about how Maverick City's success mirrors the success of the megachurch movement, and how really all that Maverick City's co-founder did, all that he did was kind of take a playbook, if you will, unconsciously, albeit, out of the church growth movement. This is about what is underlying the success of Maverick City. I wrote something on my Facebook page. That I think kind of gets to the heart of the conversation this afternoon. And I am going to review portions of Norman Gyamfi's interview with Isaac Curry. That interview was particularly problematic, particularly troubling. I am going to review portions of that interview. But what I wrote on Facebook earlier, I think gets to the heart of the discussion. And I think it really kind of helps us to focus upon what's underneath all of this, the greater issue. So this is what I wrote. The recent controversy surrounding Maverick City Music, MCM, and its co-founder, Norman Gyamfi, reminded me of three impulses Black people have struggled with since arriving in the Americas. So listen carefully, because we battle with these impulses today. We've battled with these impulses since our arrival in this continent. We see Black people bowing to these impulses all the time. All right. Number one, the impulse to subordinate. Number one. Black people have struggled to view Black existence as valuable, beautiful, and essential. Therefore, we've often succumbed to a white ice is colder mentality. You understand that reference, right? White ice is colder, right? You can have a Black house right next door to a white house, Black family right next door to a white family. And that Black family can have ice in the refrigerator, ice for days. But the young child doesn't want the ice in their own refrigerator. They want to go across the street to the white family and get their ice, because in their mind, their ice must be better. Their ice must be colder. Okay. So that's a mentality, right? That we've imbibed and embraced, some of us. Okay. So I write, therefore, we've often succumbed to a white ice is colder mentality, which sets European expression as the criterion by which everything must be measured. So when I hear people say things like gospel music is far too blank, fill in the blank there, my first question is, what's the standard by which you are measuring gospel music? When I hear people say like the Black church is behind or the Black church is antiquated, my question is, what is the rubric? What is the standard of measurement? Okay. And oftentimes we standardize the way the white folks do it. That becomes the standard of measurement. That becomes kind of the criterion by which we measure everything else. So that's the first impulse, the impulse to subordinate. The second impulse is the impulse to assimilate. All right. Black people have viewed acceptance by the majority culture as the pinnacle and marker of success. Therefore, we've sought to shed anything that may prevent us from entering the mainstream and finding approval in white spaces. Because some of us have embraced a white ice is colder mentality, well, then the byproduct of that is I got to get some of that ice. I got to get in those doors. I got to get accepted. And so therefore, if shedding my cultural particularities, if shedding my unique way of doing things or unique way of thinking allows me in these doors, then I'm willing to assimilate. And we've had to assimilate to some degree in order to exist in this country. As a matter of fact, hey, what's up, Dion? Good to see you, my brother. As a matter of fact, I'm reading a book called The Contemporary Black Church, written by a sociology professor. I forget what his name is. It's a phenomenal book. But he talks about how Black people have matriculated up the socioeconomic ladder by what he calls strategic assimilation. Strategic assimilation. So this is like conscious and cognizant assimilation to achieve success without shedding all of the sort of cultural trappings and understandings of being Blacks. But I digress. There are different. What's up? Who's that? That's LMBO. I forget who that. Jay. I think that's Jay. Good to see you, Jay. So there are various degrees of assimilation, and some assimilation is simply I've got to get in these doors and I've got to get in these spaces. So if I have to tone it down, if I have to be less Black, then that's what I'm going to do in order to get into these spaces. So the first impulse, the impulse to subordinate. The second impulse, the impulse to assimilate. The third impulse is the impulse to deprecate. All right, Black people have often found that openly disparaging Black institutions, Black art, other Black people, etc., streamlines the process of gaining approval within the majority culture. Therefore, many Black people disparage and denigrate the contributions Black people have made to America. So these are the three impulses that we have struggled with as a people since coming into this country. And I continue. I go on to write, these impulses are formed by the invisible and insidious force of white supremacy. And they thrive where the following texts are diminished, forgotten, and or underemphasized. So I don't think that this is just a sort of an existential, communal, personal problem that we are experiencing as Black folks. But I also think that yielding to these impulses is also a theological problem. It's a biblical problem. And I offer these three texts for your consideration. Luke chapter 12, verse 7. Jesus says, why even the hairs of your head are all numbered. Fear not. You are of more value than many sparrows. So you have intrinsic value. I have intrinsic value. So why do I feel the need to subordinate or assimilate or deprecate when I have value? I'm not to be arrogant and prideful, but I also don't need to apologize for who I am or from where I come. What about this? Psalm 139, 13 through 16. The psalmist writes, for you formed my inward parts. You knitted me together in my mother's womb. I praise you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Oh, I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. So if I'm fearfully and wonderfully made, why am I succumbing to the impulse to subordinate, assimilate, deprecate? The psalmist continues, wonderful are your works. My soul knows it very well. My frame was not hidden from you when I was being made in secret, intricately woven in the depths of the earth. Your eyes saw my unformed substance. In your book were written, every one of them, the days that were formed for me, when as yet there was none of them. Fearfully, wonderfully made. How about this? Genesis 5:1. This is the book of the generations of Adam. When God created man, he made him in the likeness of God. All human beings are created in the image of God. So if I have intrinsic worth and value, if I am fearfully and wonderfully made, if I have been created in the image of God, why should I subordinate myself to European standardization? Why should I assimilate and shed all of my uniqueness, all of my cultural particularities? Why should I deprecate? Why should I only speak negatively about the contributions of people that look like me when these texts are there? Good to see you, my sis. My sis Rochelle is here. Good to see you. Good to see you. My brother Reverend Charles Nelson says, interesting conversation as I'm walking through the book of Ephesians and its emphasis on unity and maturity. It's so different from what we commonly look towards, what we qualify as healthy. Yes. Thank you. Maybe we can dive into that. So remember, we're trying to get to the bottom of this. This is not about liking or hating Maverick City, boycotting Maverick City. This is about the root of it. The root of it. The heart of the matter. Again, as I said at the top of this conversation, I applaud any Black artist that says, you know what? I want to cross over into another genre. I also said most genres were either created by Black people or have heavily borrowed from Black people. So we have a home in almost every genre. This is not about Black people crossing over into other genres. This is about the why. If you say I'm crossing over into this genre because I feel led by God to do it, or because I'm multi-talented and I don't want to be stuck in one genre, and I feel like I can contribute, great. But if you are motivated by any of these impulses, I want to cross over into this genre because Black music is broken, has been broken. Black artists are backwards. They're bumpkins. I want to cross over into this genre because, you may not say it this loudly, I want to be white. And this may help me to achieve that. This may help me to obtain mainstream acceptance and approval, and that's what I'm after. Or if what's leading you to cross over is you just find no value in Black art, no value in Black music, no value in Black expression, then we need to have a conversation. Because that's when I'll sit down with you, look you in your eyes, and say, you are, number one, diminishing and disparaging a community that has shaped pop culture for the world. And you're disparaging this community. You are choosing to leave this community because your mind has been co-opted by white supremacy. And we need to pray, and we need to rethink, and we need to refocus, and we need to look at the scriptures, and we need to get back on track. And as I listen to Norman Gyamfi's interview, I heard these three impulses. Norman Gyamfi, if you do not know, he is the quote unquote co-founder of Maverick City. We're about to see how he became the quote unquote co-founder of Maverick City. He did a recent interview with Isaac Curry, in which he talked about the founding of, how he got involved with, not the founding of Maverick City, but how he got involved with Maverick City. He talked about the gospel music industry. He talked about gospel music. And after hearing that interview, y'all, it led me to go on to TikTok and say, Maverick City music has been influenced by white supremacy and anti-blackness. That TikTok post has over 400,000 views now. I've gotten tons of feedback, positive and negative, but I wouldn't have said it had I not heard it directly from the horse's mouth. We're about to hear it in just a second. Doesn't mean that you have to stop listening to Maverick City. Doesn't mean that you have to take them out your playlist. It just means that we have a problem. We have a problem with valuing and cherishing the beautiful legacy left behind by those that came before us for the purpose of succumbing to these impulses. And you're going to hear a lot of these impulses as I review portions of this interview. So the first portion that and I've got 10 clips here. And then at the end of this, I want to make a connection between what we see in Maverick City and their success and what we saw with the 20th century church growth movement. If you're unfamiliar with the church growth movement, stick around, because I think there are parallels. I don't necessarily think that Norman Gyamfi read any books by Elmer Towns or C. Peter Wagner. I don't think he consciously studied the church growth movement and said, I'm going to apply some of that into what I'm doing with Maverick City. But there are unconscious ties that exist that I hope to kind of explicate and flesh out as we move forward. But nonetheless, I'm gonna dive into this interview. And again, listen for those three impulses: the impulse to subordinate, the impulse to assimilate, the impulse to deprecate. When we find Black people doing that, there's two things happening. White supremacy is afoot, and the ubiquitous hand of white supremacy is animating and maneuvering the individual or the group. And there is a broken understanding of the text that I just read. The text that clearly establish the beauty of Black people and all people, because we are all created in the image of God, Black people included. So this is the first clip that I want to show you. Norman started out by managing Travis Green. You know who Travis Green is? He's intentional, right? Travis Green, you know. And Travis Green sang at Donald Trump's first inauguration. And I want you to hear something interesting that Norman Gyamfi said. So here's the first clip.
didn't do it to be famous. He did it because God sent him there.
Right.
And so I think a lot of people, and not to speak, because I know Chrisette been talking about, well, why she got all the backlash and all that. I can't speak to her. I can't speak to why she went. I don't manage her. But at the time, I told him the black church is the most forgiving thing there is.
100%.
First off, everybody know I'm a Trump voter, regardless how y'all feel about that. So I was supportive of it anyway.
Okay.
And beyond that, he's the president.
Right.
What's up, Pastor David Collins? Good to see you. So I'm not gonna comment on his affinity for Donald Trump. But did you hear what he said about the black church? Listen to it one more time. Catch it. He says it quickly. Listen to it.
Didn't do it to be famous. He did it because God sent him there.
Right.
And so I think a lot of people, and not to speak, because I know Chrisette been talking about, well, why she got all the backlash and all that. I can't speak to her. I can't speak to why she went. I don't manage her. But at the time, I told him the black church is the most forgiving thing there is.
100%.
First off, everybody.
So we should be forgiving. We should be. It's biblical to forgive. But that's not necessarily what Norman is talking about. He's not talking about the virtue of forgiveness that extends olive branches to transgressors and to those that have wronged you. That's not what Norman's talking about. Remember, he's counseling Travis Green about performing at Trump's first inauguration. And in this is the context. And in that conversation, he says, well, the black church is extremely forgiving. What he's essentially saying is, we can do whatever we want. The black church is still going to invite you. We can do whatever we want. The black church is still going to pay for you to come and sing at their convocations and conferences. We do whatever we want. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if, according to the last poll, 85% of black Protestants disapprove of the way that Donald Trump is handling his job. Overwhelmingly, black Protestants are like, Trump, we ain't rocking with you. Norman Gyamfi's like, oh, who cares? Black church is going back. We still gonna get black church money. Basically, what he's saying is, it's okay to play in our face. And that's problematic, y'all. That's problematic. That's problematic. Because you come up and you gain success off of essentially the back of the black church. And then, in order to celebrate a very polarizing political figure, you essentially say, well, to heck with the black church, how they think, how they feel. They're forgiving. We still gonna get their money. They still gonna invite us. They still gonna bring us through. Y'all, we need to listen to that. We need to listen to that, because already implied in that statement is kind of a low-key disrespect of the black church. What if I said to myself, my mom is super forgiving, so I can just eat on her couch even though she doesn't want me to? That's kind of low-key disrespectful, right? I'm going to do something that I know that my mother disapproves of. I'm going to do something that I know that my mother dislikes. I'm going to do something that I know my mom is going to be upset with, but she's forgiving. It's all right. Norman goes on to talk about how he got involved. And listen, remember the three impulses: the impulse to subordinate, the impulse to assimilate, the impulse to deprecate. So Norman is going to talk about how he got involved with Maverick City Music after managing Travis Green.
Right.
So you got to find a way to make money.
Right.
Maverick was the only one still doing things, and I got lucky. There was a clubhouse where everybody was talking junk about Maverick.
Yes.
There was a clubhouse.
on that.
All the execs was talking junk about Maverick. Because I didn't start Maverick. I bought into it. But I knew the kids. Chandler came from my church. Dante used to sing with Travis. Aaron Moses was our keys players. I knew the kids. And so I knew the owners because I met them in London. The way people were talking down on them and what they had done, I didn't like it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I really thought that.
It was unwarranted.
Beyond it was unwarranted, it was short-sighted.
So, what's up, Veda? Good to see you, my friend and my brother, Pastor Veda. Is in the building. God bless you, man. Love you. Subscribe to my brother. Is he a real one? Also, if you haven't subscribed to this channel, subscribe to the channel now. So, obviously, Norman was money motivated. In getting involved with Maverick City, he was money motivated. And is that wrong? Of course, we know that Jesus says that we're not to store up treasure on earth where thieves can steal and moths can eat and all that stuff, right? We know that. We know that's what Jesus said. But is it wrong to get involved in a business venture to make money? I think Sean Jackson, salute to you, my friend, Sean Jackson. It's all right. You here, Doc. Better late than never. I think you need to be real careful, particularly when the business is Christian, gospel, or spiritual in nature. So we're talking about gospel music, Christian music. And so I think that if the motive is solely financial, solely this could be a come up, then you run the risk of forgetting the ministry aspect. You run the risk of bypassing this group is submitted to the word of God and the will of God, and we are trying to be a blessing to the body of Christ versus simply a cash cow. Now, he mentions he was looking to make some more money, and he finds Maverick City on Clubhouse. And then he says something like, I bought into Maverick. He says, I didn't start Maverick City, but I bought into Maverick City. Which to me, now again, I was born in 1980. I'm a child of the 90s. I don't necessarily know how the music industry works, and I might sound antiquated and backwards and not knowledgeable, but that seems to me like a cautionary tale for aspiring rappers, aspiring gospel singers. There are people that will fund your dream. There are people that will, yes, as Doc says, yes, there are people that will purchase equity in your quote unquote ministry assignment. But you know what happens when they purchase equity? They become an owner. They become a voice in the direction that you go, in the type of music that you produce. And here's the reality. Here's the reality. If your owner has succumbed to any of these three impulses, remember, what are the three impulses? The impulse to subordinate, the impulse to assimilate, the impulse to deprecate. If your owner has succumbed to any of those three impulses, then it's not going to be long before you're forced to subordinate, assimilate, and deprecate as well. And I think Doc brings up something very interesting with the hashtag that he puts in there. Pastor Crosby says they will fund your dream at a cost. So again, y'all, this isn't just about play Maverick City, don't play Maverick City. This isn't just about don't sing Maverick City at your church. This is about, like, at the root, if black music is going to endure, particularly black gospel, we're going to talk about it in just a second. We're going to talk about the importance, the beauty, the brilliance, the spiritual depth of black gospel. We're going to talk about that in just a minute. But if it is going to endure, it's not about tinkering at the edges. Oh, boycott Maverick City. No. What happened to the generation that arose after Joshua's? They didn't know. They didn't know anything about their history. They didn't know anything about their past. And so therefore, what did they embrace? The impulse to subordinate, the impulse to assimilate, the impulse to deprecate. This is deeper than Maverick City, the group. Listen to what Norman Gyamfi says in this clip. Listen to this.
Bubbling. And so what you saw under the surface bubbling was churches had stopped singing traditional gospel music.
Right.
And the church.
What churches? So remember, the impulse to subordinate. Notice the broad churches broadly. What churches? What churches? The hip, trendy, Stephen Furtick. What's the other guy out of Tulsa? Mike Todd. We're going to talk about those churches in a second. What churches? What churches? And then after we identify what churches, why are they the standard? Who cares what they're doing? Who cares what they're singing? Why are we measuring our churches against those churches?
We're singing worship.
Okay.
So what I knew, because I had worked in the church, was that when we redo the big worship songs, like if you see Todd do It Again,
right,
that's an elevation song, or you see him do Goodness of God,
right,
it feels.
So you see that? We'll just redo what Elevation is doing. We'll take that. We'll give it to Todd Galbraith. This is why I'm. What's the right word to use? This is why I'm having this conversation right now. Okay, let me not speak too hyperbolically. This is why I'm having this conversation right now. Because we got to stop to think about what we're measuring our churches against. Just imagine you go to a cookout and somebody brings some bland potato salad to the cookout. And then somebody else brings some seasoned potato salad, just like Mama used to make, with paprika and eggs and scallions and whatever, right? Somebody tastes that potato salad with the seasoning and the scallions, and they're like, "Oh, it's not good. Something's wrong with it." You're like, "What? What do you mean? What? This potato salad is banging." This potato salad needs to taste more like that potato salad. And they point to the bland potato salad. What are they saying? I am measuring this potato salad with the seasoning and the flavor. I am measuring this potato salad against that. That potato salad is now the standard by which all potato salads must exist. And this is what's being conveyed. Let's continue. No. Well, actually, listen to this. Listen to this, because y'all, I could talk about this all day. Listen to what he says here. Listen. Let me go back a little bit.
Because I had worked in the church, was that when we redo the big worship songs, like if you see Todd do It Again, that were growing, we're singing worship, traditional gospel music.
Right.
And the churches that were growing, we're singing worship.
Okay.
So
even in that statement, churches that were growing were singing worship. So the churches singing traditional gospel aren't singing worship? What is with this like bifurcation, this separation, this they're singing worship. We don't know what y'all singing. Now maybe he's conflating, and I think he is, because we're going to see this in just a minute. I think he's conflating worship with CCM. So in his mind, CCM is worship. What y'all doing is I don't know what that is, but it's not worship. Again, the impulse to subordinate. Black people have struggled to view Black existence as valuable, beautiful, and essential. Therefore, we've often succumbed to a white ice is colder mentality, which sets European expression as the criterion by which everything must be measured. Let me finish playing this clip so I can go to
what I knew, because I had worked in the church, was that when we redo the big worship songs, like if you see Todd do It Again,
Right.
That's an elevation song, or you see him do Goodness of God,
Right.
It feels different than when Jen Johnson does it at Bethel,
Right.
Than when Chris Brown does it at Elevation.
Right.
And so what I saw in Maverick was the perfect storm. You had Black kids with, respectfully, white writers.
So why even bring that up? That you have Black kids with white writers. Why is that desirable? Why is that like, oh, Black kids but white writers? Like his eyes glisten and lit up when he said that. We're gonna hear why. But listen to this. Remember the impulse to subordinate. Listen.
Respectfully, white writers,
Right.
and producers, so they were training them not to oversing, to sing it, to be singable, and also they were making content during the pandemic.
Oversing to train them. White writers, white producers to train them not to oversing. Hey, Michelle, good to see you. Y'all, this is all bad. Oversinging according to who? Who determines what oversinging is? And to be honest, everything is oversinging compared to CCM. Everything, like if you take the most toned down Black gospel artists, they are oversinging compared to CCM. But notice the white ice is colder mentality. These Black kids had white writers and white producers, and they toned them down so that they didn't oversing. The goal ultimately is to make Maverick City a greater commodity, more commercial success. Let me go to this next clip. Check out this next clip. Listen to this. Now this clip right here, y'all. And I listened to this interview about 3 times, y'all. I listened to this interview about 3 times. And this part of it probably made me the angriest. I'm just be dead honest. My brother, Pastor David Collins, said something. He said, this is such a distraction. This conversation they are having isn't about God at all. It's trying to monetize ministry and focus on numbers over fidelity to Christ. Yeah. And not just numbers over fidelity to Christ, but it's also numbers over embracing a legacy in a genre that was influenced by and largely formed by Christ. I don't care what you say. I believe that gospel music is a miracle. The fact that we were able to sing songs of praise in a strange land is a miracle. The fact that gospel music was used to empower and to animate the civil rights struggle, a miracle, right? So I definitely think that there's an issue with fidelity to Christ, absolutely. But I also think it's like thumbing of the nose at music that is so powerful and so anointed and so infused by the Spirit of God. And it's kind of like, who cares? Who cares about any of that? And we're gonna see some of that. But listen to this. Listen to this, y'all. Let me take a deep breath before I play this clip. If y'all haven't subscribed yet, y'all need to subscribe right now. I'm trying to get to at least 800 subscribers by the end of the week. And I think we're at 770. So I need 30 people to subscribe right now. But check this out. Listen to this clip.
Reality is, we didn't grow up like our parents.
Right.
I grew up with a two-parents household, both of my parents doctors. I don't know nothing about no struggle, no disrespect to anybody that does. I ain't grew up on no food stamps in the hood.
Yeah.
So my kids can't relate to, like, the way Never Would Have Made It hit my grandma don't hit me the same way.
Gotcha.
You get what I'm saying? The way it's different. We relate to a different story. We relate to our struggles today, and I'm not speaking for everybody, I'm just speaking to the general young black kid. Our struggles today are more internal than they are external forces. Yes, there's still racism and all that stuff exists, but, we getting up, going to work, the bills is paid,
Right.
we got the cars, so like a song like, if he dresses the lilies, it's like, dang, God will keep me fly. It's like...
First of all, isn't Isaac Curry a gospel singer? I wish Norman had an interviewer that was pushing back at least a little bit. Like the way that Isaac Curry was gushing and fawning over Norman Gyamfi was just, he should have challenged Norman Gyamfi at points. But if you watch the entire interview, you know that he wanted Norman to consider some type of business venture that he had in mind. He reveals that toward the end of the interview. But y'all, did y'all hear what he just said? Did y'all hear what he? I'm like, should I play it one more time? Did y'all catch it? Did y'all hear what he just said? Let me play it one more time. One more time, y'all. One more time.
Reality is, we didn't grow up like our parents.
Right.
I grew up with a two-parents household, both of my parents doctors. I don't know nothing about no struggle, no disrespect to anybody that does. I ain't grew up on no food stamps in the hood.
Yeah.
So my kids can't relate to, like, the way Never Would Have Made It hit my grandma don't hit me the same way.
Gotcha.
You get what I'm saying? The way it's different. We relate to a different story. We relate to our struggles today, and I'm not speaking for everybody, I'm just speaking to the general young black kid. Our struggles today are more internal than they are external forces. Yes, there's still racism and all that stuff exists, but, we getting up, going to work, the bills is paid,
Right.
we got the cars, so like a song like, if he dresses the lilies, it's like, dang, God will keep me fly. It's like...
So there is just a fundamental disconnect there from the actual general plight of Black America. He's saying that he's speaking to young Black existence generally, but he's wrong. He's wrong. Remember the second impulse, the impulse to assimilate. Oh, we got cars now. We got clothes now. And so we're gonna make music to speak to that, and Never Would Have Made It. Never Would Have Made It. Talking about the struggle, talking about all that stuff. That's not our reality. Let me read something to you. Let me read this to you. This is according to the McKinsey Global Institute. Listen to this. This is as of February 2024. The median annual wage for Black workers is approximately 30% or $10,000 lower than that of white workers. figure with enormous implications for household economic security, consumption, and the ability to build wealth. Black workers make up 12.9% of the U.S. labor force today, but earn only 9.6% of total U.S. wages. We estimate a $220 billion annual disparity between Black wages today and what they would be in a scenario of full parity, with Black representation matching the Black share of the population across occupations and the elimination of racial pay gaps within occupational categories. This is the general statistical portrait of Black America. What Norman is living, or what Norman lived, is the anomaly. Nearly half of Black workers are concentrated, listen to this, in healthcare, retail, and accommodation and food service. The vast majority of Black workers within those industries are in lower paying service roles rather than professional or managerial roles. The type of pattern produces the wage gap. The median wage for all U.S. workers is around $42,000 per year, but 43% of Black workers earn less than $30,000 per year. How about when it comes to food? 1 out of every 5 Black households, 1 out of every 5 Black households is situated in a food desert, defined by the USDA as a low-income neighborhood with inadequate access to food. This applies to roughly 8.3 million Black residents, 40% of whom live in 5 states: Georgia, that's the state where Norman is from, Texas, Mississippi, Florida, and Louisiana. Counties with above average Black populations have fewer grocery stores, restaurants, and farmers markets, but more small convenience stores. I can go on and on and on and on and on. So that's why Never Would Have Made It resonates. And that's why Never Would Have Made It would still resonate today. Because this is what's actually happening in Black America, regardless of how Norman Gyamfi was raised. This is the general statistical portrait. But he's disconnected from that. And apparently he's not seeking to understand that. Therefore, the music is not going to reflect that. The music is not going to reflect the struggle. The music is not going to help to uplift those within that type of, economic crucible. The music is going to help, according to Norman, it's going to help me look in the mirror when I get dressed and say, wow, God really does keep me fly. What about the young Black man that's living in a food desert? What about the young Black woman who is underpaid, underappreciated? What about the young Black family that is living below the poverty line, because they are actually reflective of where Black America is today? And our music needs to reflect that as well. I want to look at some of these comments before I go on to some clips. Pastor Collins says, you don't have to grow up in some stereotypical struggle to understand certain types of music. That's true. That's true. That's true. The typical "we are not poor" racist argument shows his ignorance and disconnect to the Black condition in the U.S. And I'm guessing his class status plays a part in it. Yep. Doc also says the typical "we are not poor" racist argument shows. I think that's a duplicate. Rochelle says wealthy cancer patient that's healed probably bawls at Never Would Have Made It. That emotion can be a heart posture, not just a socioeconomic location. Yep. Or 700,000 Black men incarcerated. That's right. And what he's essentially saying is that we're intentionally making this music tone deaf to the plight of the majority of Black Americans.
Reality is we didn't grow up like our parents.
Right.
I grew up with the two parents.
Traditional Christian norms. Was that intentional or was it just God?
No, it was intentional. Maverick broke because the gospel norms wasn't working no more, man. Y'all sing too hard. Y'all over sing.
Good God.
Stop doing that. Nobody want to hear no runs. They look at runs. They don't want to sing runs. That's why R&B and pop, that's why pop is more popular than R&B. People like singable music. Wow. They want to, like you would rap. That's why Chris Tomlin was the greatest worship leader ever.
Remember the impulse to deprecate. The impulse to deprecate. Y'all sing too hard. According to who? Nobody wants to hear runs. Who? Who don't want to hear runs? Listen, I guarantee if you put 100 Black people into a room, and I'm talking about 100 Christian Black people who consume Christian / gospel music, and ask them if they like runs, I bet, y'all. I bet at least 70% of them will say, yeah, we like runs. So who? Again, what is the measure? What is the standard by which you are measuring? What is the criterion? Who doesn't want to hear runs? Who says that there's over singing? Again, anything compared to CCM is over singing. Anything. My dog howling at the moon is over singing compared to CCM. Why is that the standard? Why? And then he reveals something. He says that Chris Tomlin is the greatest worship singer of all time. Now, don't have nothing against Chris Tomlin. You could love Chris Tomlin all day. You could even believe that Chris Tomlin is the greatest. I'm only highlighting that to show the standard, to show the criterion. Okay, so now we have to measure this against that. We've heard elevation, Chris Tomlin. We've heard white producers, white writers. So there is the criterion. How is this not white ice is colder? And what's the reality of that mentality? The white ice is colder mentality. What's the reality? It's false. Black ice is just as cold as white ice. That is what is implied. That is why that's why that statement is filled with such irony. Because white ice and black ice are both cold. And at the end of the day, it boils down to preference. Listen, you can prefer Chris Tomlin, you can prefer CCM, you can all that stuff. But the moment you try to make it the standard by which everything else must be judged is the moment you have walked into white supremacy. And you're allowing and you're seeing Black people and Black art and Blackness through that lens. Let's continue.
Want to know why?
Why?
He's not the best vocalist ever.
Wow.
So people like to hear music. They think, oh, I could do that. That's what's going to happen at a church. If a worship leader hear you singing, he think, I could never do that. He's not going to sing the song. Like, why would he? If you sing a song in a way that, like, it's congregational, that's why the mix on that stuff is different. We mix toward.
So now let's disparage the mixes. Listen. What he's saying has some validity, has some merit. People like to sing the songs they listen to. But y'all, but there's nothing new. Like thinking that you have to cross over into CCM in order to achieve singability is again subordination and assimilation. Those of you that grew up in the black church, you know this song. The Lord is high above the heavens, and his glory above the nations. The Lord is high above the heavens, and his glory above the nations. What song is more singable than that? What song is more singable than Thank You, Lord? Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord. I just want to thank you, Lord. Like, come on now. Why do I have to get white writers, white producers? Why do I have to get a white mix in order to achieve singability? Again, I'm only bringing this up to emphasize what's underneath all of this. Let's look at these comments before I go forward. And y'all, I'm gonna have to wrap this up in just a second. My brother, Pastor Troy Galls from Louisiana, says, what about the 9-year-old on our Little League team whose father got shot and killed 2 days ago? Poverty has outward implications. Yes. Pastor Collins says, wasn't working. I'd love it if he defined working and success in his view. Being famous and rich is not how we measure what we do for Christ. This is so carnal. Doc says, Isaac Curry ought to be ashamed of himself. He's nodding and chuckling to everything like Shannon Sharp. That's what I'm saying. Like, can you push back a little bit? Can you say, hold on, I'm a gospel singer now? You like, can you say, well, what do you mean by that? No, he like, I would love to see Norman go on another, I don't know, the podcast. I'd welcome him here. I mean, he'd never come on this podcast. I'd love to have him on this podcast. My brother, Pastor Vader, says people who can't sing still sing Deborah Cox. That's right. How did you get here? That note is very singable, even for non-singing people. That's absolutely right. Isaac Curry is like Joe Rogan. He will act like whatever the guests are saying is deep and never push it back. He's a theological jellyfish. Let's see. So now we got to be white or dry to be accepted now. That's what I'm saying. Michelle says, I grew up in a 2-parent house that was middle class, and I sing old school black church songs with my whole soul. That's what I'm saying. Let's continue.
Coming out of the pandemic, we had to come up with a new strategy of how to still invite people in. But all in all, Maverick took what they were doing in more so Christian worship music and brought it to gospel. You brought really well-developed songs.
So wait, they weren't really well-developed songs. They weren't really well-developed songs in gospel music. And what do you mean you brought it to gospel? You didn't bring anything to gospel. Look, not to say that gospel cannot be enhanced. Not to say that like things can't be fine-tuned. But the gospel genre has literally impacted every other genre there is. You have white country singers. Elvis Presley, influenced by gospel. Rappers. James Brown, influenced by black preachers. Like rock and roll artists talked about how much they love Sissy Houston, Whitney Houston's mom. Like the gospel music didn't need Maverick City to be its savior. In his mind, he thinks so, because he thinks the gospel music, he thinks that gospel is a dying genre, and we're gonna see something interesting. But like, again, y'all, like, this is now I think I understand. I think I understand what the way my dad felt when we used to get in arguments over basketball. Like back in the 90s, you know, that's when I was a big basketball fan in the 90s. Not as much of a basketball fan today, although go Lakers. Big basketball fan in the 90s. And me and my dad, we used to argue, heated arguments. Because he'd bring up names like Wes Unseld and Bob Cousy and Pistol Pete Maravich. And I'd be like, man, who? Billy White Shoes Johnson. Was that basketball or football? That might have been football. But he used to bring up these old school names, right? I used to be like, ugh. They ain't nothing compared to Shaq, Kobe, and Olajuwon, and Barkley. And now I know how my dad felt. Because my dad would say, Isaiah. You just because you weren't around to see it and you don't understand it doesn't mean that it was awful or horrible or unworthy of commentary. But that's what happens. Like when you have recency bias, that's what happens. It's just like we have to come and save gospel. We brought well put together songs to gospel. We came in, and that type of elitist attitude, y'all, it is extremely emblematic of white supremacy, paternalism, and like we have to make this black hot mess better with our writers, our producers, our instrumentation, our mixes, our singing, our style. Y'all, I got so many more clips, but it's 5:12. And I want to get to your comments, and I want to make the link. Listen, subscribe, y'all. Subscribe. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe. Again, I'm trying to get to at least 800 subscribers by the end of the week, 1,000 by the end of the fall. We're at 770 last time I checked. So I need 30 people to subscribe by the end of the week. Subscribe. But let me make my way through these clips.
Light production. Everybody say every Maverick song sound the same. So y'all sing them all. So I say this to say it's like
Jesus.
Maverick was an opportunity for gospel. It wasn't an opportunity for them. And you had people that were connected. It wasn't like I was out here like, oh, we ain't never gonna work with y'all. They reaching out. They trying to get people to come in. They trying to get people to come right. They trying to get people to be a part. They were reaching out with their hands wide open like, come do what y'all want. We need y'all help. And people thumbing their nose at them. Why?
Yeah.
It didn't make sense.
I can tell you why. Because when you slap an entire genre in the face, it's going to make people a little leery. Listen. I tell this, I say this to my apologist friends. And if you're an apologist, part of the urban apologetics community, hear me. Because I've had discussions about apologetics within the Black church. And I had some of my apologist friends reach out to me and say, look, man, we're trying to make inroads into the Black church. Like we're trying to help pastors. We're trying to create resources for pastors. We're trying to, gain an audience with pastors within the Black church. Like we really want to come in and partner with Black churches and help Black churches. And my response is often, look, if you're trying to do anything within the Black churches, it's a long game. It's a long game. And the reason why it's a long game is because a lot of Black pastors are distrusting, particularly of like, anything that they consider to be like white or rooted in whiteness. And unfortunately, like when, like for the pastors that are aware of apologetics, many of them are aware of apologists like Frank Turek, okay, or Norman Geisler. They may appreciate some of their work, but at the end of the day, it's like 85% of Black Protestants, we ain't rocking with Trump. Y'all were rocking with Trump. I appreciate your argument for the resurrection, but like something's wrong with your orthopraxy and your orthopathy. And so black pastors are admittedly distrusting. And so if you hope to do anything within the black church, it's a long game. You're gonna have to build relationships. You're gonna have to join the Baptist Ministers Conference, join a local Baptist association. You're gonna have to pay your dues. You're gonna have to be present. You're gonna have to serve. And it might be 10 years before people now trust you and are willing to hear you. So, yeah, Maverick City, yeah. You listen to all of the junk. You talked about us and we oversing, and our writers are bad and our mixes are bad, and now you want to and here's the thing. If I am more motivated by ministry than the profit motive, then I don't care. I don't care if you could potentially bring me a Grammy, or I don't care if you could potentially cause my song to chart. Like, on principle, I don't want to have anything to do with y'all, right? So this you don't understand why, Norman. That's why. Because you slap people in the face, you diminish them, you disparage the industry, you disparage their artistry, and then you're like, come on over here. And you can't get mad when people aren't willing to assimilate along with you.
Hindsight always 20/20, but Maverick had to break the rules. It had to break the glass ceilings. If gospel had supported Maverick the way that, you would see a multitude of artists playing on CCM radio. And why CCM radio? CCM radio has more listenership than R&B, rhythmic, you name it.
Wow.
Brandon Lake's song Hell Fought Hallelujah debut in the Hot 100.
So again, if you did, we wanted y'all to do, if you went along with us, here's the goal. Here's the goal. Here's the pinnacle. You'll be played on CCM. CCM radio will accept you. Again, what is the standard by which you are measuring everything? We've heard it. White singers, white producers, CCM, Chris Tomlin, white mixes, white churches. And the pinnacle, the goal is now you're on CCM where you can make more money. You can and listen, money is not bad. Money is not evil. But what did Jesus say? What profits a man if he gains the whole wide world and loses his soul? I think there's a double entendre there with the word soul in this context. You're on CCM worldwide, 1 million streams an hour, but you've lost your soul. Again, remember the 3 impulses: the impulse to subordinate, the impulse to assimilate, the impulse to deprecate. We've seen all 3 of these impulses on display here in this conversation. And that's what's at the bottom of this.
It's not good, respectfully. And people don't know how to market their music. And so when you have that, you get into a glut of what we see right now. There's apathy. I don't know how many people in here even listen to gospel music. You know what I'm saying? And this is it. This is just what it is.
If you listen to gospel music, please put it in the chat. Please put it in the chat. I still listen to gospel music. If you still listen to gospel music, please put it in the chat. Y'all, I made a post on TikTok when I first heard about this interview. And I essentially said, look, what we've always known about Maverick City has just been said out loud. I referred to this interview, talked about how, rooted in white supremacy and anti-blackness. I think we've seen this in this interview so far. Last time I checked, 407,000 views. And I don't know how many comments at this point. But you can go look on TikTok, Black Church Empowered on TikTok. Go look. The overwhelming majority of the commenters love gospel music, listen to gospel music, want gospel music, enjoy some Fred Hammond and some Gyamfi. So again, Chris Tomlin may not listen to gospel music. The people at Elevation Church may not listen to gospel music. The people at Mike Todd's church may not listen to gospel music. But why is that the standard? Why? Why are you making that the standard? And what we've heard, two reasons why that's the standard. Number one, money. Money, number one. Number two, it's white. White ice is colder. White ice is better. And so because white ice is colder and because you can make money over there, this now needs to be the standard by which all of this is judged. Now, when you're on Facebook, you're scrolling on Facebook and you see a post and like it'll be a picture and there'll be 4 quadrants and one corner of the picture, it'll have like a sweet potato pie. The other corner, it'll have like a banana pudding. The other corner, it'll have a peach cobbler. And then the other corner will be like a 7-Up cake. And then the question is, one of these, you can only keep one of these. All 3 must go. And so you have to like choose which dessert stays. And it's like a big argument in the comment section. Like some people say banana pudding, has to stay. Some people say sweet potato pie has to stay, right? And it's like a big argument. Well, when you make your selection, whether it's banana pudding, whether it's sweet potato pie, what are you saying in making that selection? You're saying, it's not that I don't like those other desserts, just I like this one better. This dessert is more appealing to me. Keep that in mind as you listen to Isaac Curry ask Norman this last question.
I want to run this game with you and I'm going to get you out of here. This game is called This or That. One has to go. You can't keep one.
Okay.
I already know this answer. CCM or gospel?
What you mean? One of them got to go?
One of them got to go.
Gospel.
It's a disservice to you. I want to run this game with you and I'm going to get you out of here. This game is called This or That. One has to go. You can't keep one.
Okay.
I already know this answer. CCM or gospel?
What you mean? One of them got to go?
One of them got to go.
Gospel.
That is crazy work to me. That is crazy. To hear a melanated person say that they would keep CCM and not keep gospel is crazy to me. And the reason it's crazy is because, like, do you not understand the power and the profundity of this genre? Now, I understand that some gospel music, like some of it has gone off the rails. Yeah, you do have some songs that are like theologically troubling. I'm not talking about every single gospel song or every single gospel artist. I'm talking about the genre as a whole. Let's go back to Thomas Dorsey, the father of gospel music. Gospel music created in Chicago during the Great Migration. Do you know what's going on during the Great Migration? Black people are being redlined into these densely populated areas, and all of these vices and illnesses are increasing. Cirrhosis of the liver due to alcoholism. You have an epidemic of broken families where men leave their wives and children, leave their wife and children in the South to go to the North for a better life, and they just disappear. So you have you have all this stuff going on, and out of that arises this music that is upward focused. Precious Lord, take my hand, lead me on. This music stirs the soul and allows Black people in these ghettos to flourish and thrive and create. When we talk about Black Wall Street, we often think of Black Wall Street as just being in Tulsa, Oklahoma. We created Black Wall Street. There was Black Wall Street in LA, Central Avenue, Black Wall Street in Atlanta, Auburn Avenue, Black Wall Street in Harlem, New York. Black Wall Street was all around. How did we muster up the resolve? Because we learned how to sing praise and sing worship in a strange land. And we know that the gospel music is derived from the Negro spirituals. There's a relation there. We know that, like, the Negro spirits, the profound theology of the Negro spirituals. Negro spirituals, these, so they weren't just coded messages. Yes, they were that, but they also expressed the theology of enslaved people. So when they sang, "Didn't the Lord deliver Daniel? Why not every man?" that spoke directly to their understanding of the biblical God as a liberator, Yahweh as the one who sets the captives free. Rich theology proper, rich Christology. And then as a melanated person to say, I'll take CCM over that. No shade to CCM. If you like CCM, have at it. But to me, taking CCM over gospel, I don't know. It's like taking, I don't know. I'm struggling trying to find a parallel. Maybe you guys can think of a good parallel in the comments section. It's like taking the career of George Mikan over Wilt Chamberlain. Like, I don't know. I don't know any better. I don't know. But again, what does that display? The standardization. The measure by which the Black gospel music industry must live up to. And again, this is not about playing Maverick City. As a matter of fact, I'm not a dictator at my church. I don't tell my praise team what to sing every Sunday. Some Sundays I'll be like, hey, sing this song, don't sing that song. But for the most part, I allow my praise and worship leaders. We may sing a Maverick City song here at my church in the future. I probably won't know it because I don't know their music. I've never really listened to their music. I think I know only one song, and that's Gyra. That is Maverick City, right? I think that's Maverick City. Gyra, You're More Than Enough. That's the only Maverick City song that I'm aware of. And so if we do sing a Maverick City song here, I won't know it. But this isn't about like eliminating Maverick City, boycotting Maverick City. This is about educating people to know what we leave behind if we forsake gospel music. And to also think about the why behind the what. Maybe in a candid conversation with Norman Gyamfi, I can bring up these impulses. And he says, you know what? White supremacy is insidious, and you're right. Man, I didn't realize I was even thinking that way. Because a lot of black people don't know. I when I was writing my first book, I had a conversation with a coworker. And he told me a story, and it was such an intriguing story. He said, when I was younger, like a kid, I loved to draw superheroes. I would draw superheroes all day. He says, well, when I got older, after I moved out the house, came back to the house, went in the garage, was looking through some stuff, and I found my old sketchbook from when I was a kid. And he said, when I opened up the sketchbook and I looked at all the superheroes that I drew, I noticed that they were all white. All of the superheroes I drew were white men. Here I am, a socioeconomically challenged black boy, growing up in inner city Brooklyn, conceiving of superheroes as only white men. He didn't realize that. He didn't realize when he was a little boy, he was drawing those images. And so a lot of black people don't realize the pervasive nature of white supremacy and how white supremacy could even affect the black mind. He might say, oh, I get it now. Now, last thing, and I'm out. I'm going to do this briefly. So at the bottom of, I think, at least Norman Gyamfi's approach is of course white supremacy, the profit motive, pragmatism. All of this leads to pragmatism. Like whatever works, do it. Whatever works, do it. And so in the 20th century, late 20th century, 70s, you have a movement out of Fuller Theological Seminary in Pasadena, California, my hometown, by the way. Movement started by a missiologist by the name of Donald McGavran. Donald McGavran had good intentions. He wanted to see the gospel spread. And he wanted as many people as possible to be saved. He was a missionary. And so he started thinking through, like, what's the best way to proliferate the gospel and see people changed and saved and transformed by the gospel? Church planting. Okay, church planting. All right. So he developed a model strategy for church planting and church growth for the purpose of spreading the gospel. He saw church planting as the primary way to spread the gospel. And so they developed a number of principles around sociological studies and things of that nature to achieve the maximum attendance possible at local churches. And it worked. It worked dramatically. And all of a sudden, all around the country, you start seeing mega churches popping up. Late 70s, 80s, mid 80s, late 80s, 90s, churches swell from 100 members to 2,000 members. Saddleback and what's the church in Illinois? The kind of the one that's thought of as the Bill Hybels, Willow Creek. All of these churches pop up. And all of a sudden, Donald McGavran's initial vision is co-opted. And the church growth movement becomes like a cottage industry where the goal isn't necessarily to spread the gospel. Sure. But the goal becomes to grow. It's to get big. Share the gospel, not share it. Just get big, like get butts in the seats. And so this cottage industry focuses on very pragmatic, utilitarian approaches to church growth and church strategy. Because the bottom line becomes get butts in the seats, get people there. That's how you increase your revenue. That's how you can buy more. That's how you can grow bigger. And so what do we hear from Norman Gyamfi? We heard pragmatism. We heard a desire to have mass appeal. And this desire to have mass appeal ultimately leads to Norman Gyamfi saying mass appeal means this: CCM, white writers, white producers, white mix, white singing, all of these things. Because the goal becomes 7 million streams an hour, Grammys. Here's the parallel. Black churches started to see, man, these churches are growing. Black pastors turn on the TV. Black pastors turn on the TV and they see, wait a minute, that's a church down the street that 3 years ago they only had 300 members. Now they got 5,000 members. Hold on. And guess what black pastors start doing? They start to go to the conferences, buy the books. They start to imbibe the principles of the cottage industry of the church growth movement. These principles produced by this out of control movement, they are derived in white spaces. It'd be like a black parent getting advice from a white parent on how to parent. Some things they say will be beneficial. Yes. Okay, great. Yeah, I'll take that. But other things they say will have to be contextualized. Look, that may work with Lance, but it's not going to work with Jimmy. That may work with Freddie, but it's not going to work with Lamar, right? So you have to contextualize that. Bring it back to your house and make it fit your context. But what happened? So many black pastors just went out, glommed onto this stuff, grabbed it, brought it back to the black church. And we've seen the watering down of the black church, its prophetic witness. We've seen the watering down of the black church's theology. We've seen the watering down of the black church's commitment to orthopraxy and orthopathy. We've seen the watering down. Why? Because the primary goal of the church growth movement was to grow big. And when you take those principles, bring them back to the black church, you may grow, but you become more and more detached from an ecclesiological identity that's aligned with the black church tradition. Some people may be cool with that. Some people, oh, whatever, who cares? Who cares about the black church tradition? You should care. We all should care. We all should care. We all should care about the black church tradition because it's so rich, so much we can glean. A lot of it is inherently biblical. But when your goal is pragmatism, implemented through a white supremacist lens, you'll do violence to the black church, and you'll do violence to gospel music as well. And so listen, if you haven't subscribed, please do subscribe. Listen, I need 30 subscribers by the end of the week. That'll give us 800 subscribers. On our way to 1,000 subscribers by the end of the fall. So if you haven't subscribed, subscribe. Now let me look at these comments, and I'm also going to take questions. I'm going to look at these comments because I have quite a few that I missed. And then I'm also going to take your questions. So if you have questions, come on and hop in. I see my dear sister Cynthia in here as well. Hey, Cynthia, love you so much. Let's see. Okay, so people put in the comments. I still listen to gospel music. Love it. David Collins says, I still listen to gospel music, but Maverick sounds like AI generated worship music to me. Yeah, I kind of threw shade at Maverick City on that TikTok post that I made. I called it Disneyland praise and worship, and that's wrong because there's nothing wrong with Disneyland. Disneyland is fun. Like I shouldn't do that. Disneyland is fun, right? But I did call it Disneyland praise and worship. All right. You mean one got to go? We ain't trying to get rid of 3. That's overkill. I think you're referring to the reference that I made to the fake Facebook post. Secret Progress says he like raisins and potato salad. Oh. Learn as I go. Apologetics says truth spoken. All right, y'all. I've been on for about an hour and 43 minutes. I've said a lot. I've shared a lot. These are my thoughts. You may agree. You may disagree. These are my thoughts. We shouldn't subordinate. We shouldn't assimilate. We shouldn't deprecate. Why? Luke 12:7. Even the hairs of your head are all numbered. Fear not, you are of more value than many sparrows. Black people, all people, but black people too. Psalm 139:13. For you formed my inward parts. You knitted me together in my mother's womb. I praise you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Black community, all communities, but black people too. Genesis 5:1. This is the book of the generations of Adam. When God created man, he made him in the likeness of God. You've been created in the image of God. Black people, all people, black people too. You can have your preferences. Preference is fine. But when you make whiteness the standard by which everything else must be judged, then I think you've deviated from the text that I just read. Andre Crouch, take me back. You about to have me singing. You about to have me shouting. All right, y'all. I appreciate y'all. Listen, stick around. Look at what's coming up next on the channel. We have a lot of good shows coming up next. Subscribe. All right. When I log out, I need to see at least 10 subscribers, y'all. I need to be at least 780 subscribers. So click that subscribe button. You can even click the bell to be notified of the shows that when they go live. All right. But this is what we have coming up. Stick around. Check out what we have coming up on this channel. Appreciate y'all. Love y'all. You've been watching Black Church Chats. I'm Pastor Isaiah. I'm out. Peace out.